All right, with that being said, it was a very enlightening and a very thought provoking discussion between three luminaries. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have every universe has its own sun, and I believe there are many suns, but our universe has one sun when it comes to mental health, and it's a good fortune and an honor to have him over here. He is going to shed light, which is very much needed, about the importance of mental health in medical education. Not practice, but education. Medical education में mental health की कितनी जरूरत है, and how important it is in our lives, in the lives of all the students, medical students. That is going to be shared by him. All the insights that he can bless us with within, say, good half an hour. Okay, with that being said, I would like to invite our very honorary speaker who is going to address us and all of you. First and foremost, a big thank you to gold sponsor Sun Pharmaceuticals Industries Limited for sponsoring this particular event session. We have Dr. Rajesh Sagar, who is currently working as a professor at the Department of Psychiatry, AIIMS, New Delhi. He is an MD from NIMHANS, Bangalore, and has received certification of completion of specialist training, CCST, from the Specialist Training Authority of Medical Royal Colleges, UK, and General Medical Council, UK. और अगर इनके बारे में और मैं बताता गया तो मेरे ख्याल से 30 मिनट भी अभी कम पड़ेंगे, क्योंकि ये इतनी पढ़ाई कर चुके हैं जो मेरे को 10 जन्म लगेंगे बड़े आराम से करने में. विद दैट बीइंग सेड, प्रोफेसर राजेश सागर जी, बहुत बहुत आपका वेलकम सर. ओवर टू यू. आई वोंट टेक योर टाइम. अप टू यू.
Thank you and namaskar to Anirudh and everyone. It's wonderful to be here, and good evening to all those who are there online and who are listening. And my greetings to everyone on the occasion of World Mental Health Day today being, and I'm very thankful to Mental Health Foundation India and President Professor Nand Kumar and the whole team to have me here and to share my thoughts with you. And it's a great honor to be here. And I understand that you had all Galaxy of Stars speaking earlier. And it's a wonderful. And in a way, earlier my session could not be there for some reason, because today I had to take 4 sessions, and somehow there was a break, so I could not have my earlier session. But I am thankful that my slot is there, and I wanted, in fact, wanted to have my session. So I deeply requested Dr. Nand that please don't leave me and have my session. So in fact, he cut down his session last, and so I'm here interacting with you. Okay, with this, I will share my slides, and just a minute, and yeah, it's here, and I will just do my slideshow. Okay, so just tell me you are able to see my slides and you are able to hear me. Just say yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great, wonderful. So the topic is importance of mental health. We have been talking, but this topic is a bit different. It is in medical education, and I want to tell you that usually we don't talk much about medical education part. And Dr. Nand was clear that I should speak on medical education, and so had this topic, and he wanted that I should speak on this, and I want to emphasize this point that normally we as a psychiatrist, mental health profession, we do not discuss so much about the education part, medical education part. We are more comfortable with talking about the clinical things and about other things, but not about, I think, and that touched me a lot, and I thought that yes, I will speak on this topic, though initially it was a longer presentation, but I will cut down, squeeze it to make it in next 25 minutes or so. So I will also tell you that that mental health, just because I always take this opportunity to talk about mental health, and we all know that the important slogan of WHO, no health without mental health. So I think that's a very, very important slogan. and we feel that most of these activities around us, and we think that whenever we talk of health, mental health becomes an integral part of it. And as per WHO definition, we all know it's a complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. I think what is important here is that when we talk of health, we generally focus more on the physical part of it. We ignore mental and social well-being. So I think just to reiterate this fact, with a hammer, that mental and social well-being, and if you can add spiritual in also in this, we know that this the whole conference is about spirituality, and so we can add that dimension also of spiritual well-being in that way. Now, what mental health is, I think more specifically, again, it's a state of well-being in which individual realizes his own ability or potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make contribution to his own community. I think these are four components, again, which were given by WHO. These are not my definition; they are given by WHO. But you can see here that mental health encompasses, so many things. Work, your potential, your contribution to the community, and so on. So just see that how broad the definition of mental health is. Now, this is important, that why we need to talk about it, why mental health is important, why we need to discuss about it. And so we all know that mental health is essential for well-being and functioning of individuals. I think that's a very key aspect. And good mental health is an important resource for individuals, family, and communities, and nation also. I think it becomes a good resource, important resource for everyone around us. And good mental health, or one can say positive mental health, is important component of it. And mental health is an indivisible part of general health. As I said, it's an integral part of health and contributes to functioning of society and has an effect on overall productivity. I think that is a very key thing. In fact, in the morning I made some presentation. More than $1 trillion people have calculated and why these losses, and people have in society loss of insurance or not taking of care of mental health problems actually will lead to economic loss in that way. And mental health concerns everyone as it is generated in our everyday lives, in homes, schools, workplace, and leisure activity. And positive mental health contributes to social, human, and economic capital of every society. And spirituality, of course, can make a significant contribution. And I'm happy to see the theme of this conference on spirituality. And that's important as far as mental health promotion and mental health influences the spiritual life. So that's why we know that mental health is important. Now, these are certain WHO, important documents. I think these are just wanted to, share with you. And that gives a more clear view of the importance of mental health. The WHO Special Initiative for Mental Health, that is 2019-23, universal health coverage for mental health. I think that's a very, very important document. The world is accepting the concept of UHC, that is universal health coverage, and mental health must be integral part of UHC, and nobody should be denied access to mental health care because she or he is poor or lives in a remote place. It has come from Director General WHO. Now, these are some of the strategic actions with regard to this particular document on UHC, universal health coverage, that is advancing mental health policy, advocacy, and human rights. That is globally, mental health is positioned high on development and humanitarian agendas. Local champion, people who use mental health services and their organizations are empowered to participate in the development and implementation of mental health policies, strategies, laws, and services. Mental health policies, strategies, and laws are developed and operationalized based on international human rights standards. Media and community awareness about the importance of mental health across the life course is raised. and human and financial resources for mental health are brought in line with the needs. So this is a strategic action 1. Then we have similarly strategic action 2, that is scaling up of intervention and services across community-based general health and specialist settings. So these are some of the points which are with regard to scaling up of intervention and services. I will not read those; they are self-explanatory. Now, now we come, that is the need for mental health in the medical education. I think that's what the whole topic is, and that's what we'll discuss about it. Now, what's the history of mental health in medical education? Just to give a glimpse about it, I think in USA, behavioral science taught in the first year of undergraduate studies, so that's important. I can tell you at AIIMS also, we do have this behavioral science being taught in the earlier courses. During the first 2 years, there are about 60 hours of teaching in various psychosocial areas. And in third year, 30 hours are devoted to practical teaching of psychiatry. In fourth year, there is a full-time posting of 8 weeks of psychiatry clerkship compared to 8 weeks each allotted for obs and gynae, pediatrics, and 12 weeks for medicine and surgery. So just see there is not much difference from other specialties. So that's how the importance of mental health and psychiatry is given in the undergraduate curriculum in the USA. And also the behavioral science is being taught in the first year of undergraduate, as early as first year of undergraduate. So this is about USA. Now in Denmark, we know the teaching of mental disorder started in 1902. I think very early, we know that, and established in 1912. And during the 50s, it acquired the status of major clinical subject. So it was a major clinical subject that will rise into third place. Now, this is the key here. After surgery and medicine, psychiatry was number 3. So just see the importance of the psychiatry in that way as with regard to medical education. Fortunately, in the clinical side in India and other developing countries, it becomes a lower part. You know, it's quite low down in the priority list. But see here, it was number 3 after medicine and surgery, and it was ahead of pediatrics and obs and gynae. Now there are about 240 hours. Just see 240 hours of psychiatry teaching in 6-year course. It's a 6-year course as compared to 5-year in India, and comprising about 7% of total time. In fact, earlier though, now the new NMC has come up, but earlier it was 2 hours out of 140 hours. So just see, it was 170. It was so less. It was negligible in that way. It is a major clinical discipline with a qualifying examination also at the end. In Britain, UK, psychiatry established place in medical education in 40s, later than Denmark. However, it went through major changes in 70s through GMC's recommendation 1967 regarding medical education, which re-emphasized the importance of behavioral science and psychiatry. So in 67, the behavioral science and psychiatry was given important place in the medical teaching and practice. And currently, there are 80 hours are devoted to behavioral science course during basic medical science teaching. And during the clinical course, students first learn interviewing skills, psychiatry history taking once a day during 36 weeks, and then attend a full-time psychiatry clerkship for 3 months. This is usually followed by university examination as in other subjects. In South Asia, of course, both Sri Lanka and Nepal give prominence to psychiatry, and medical students need to pass examination in psychiatry to qualify for medical degree. What it means is that normally in India also, psychiatry examination is part of medicine examination. And only I can tell you, and I will inform you that only in AIIMS Rishikesh, since I was part of their board, so I know they have made it as a separate subject. Whereas in Sri Lanka, already it's a separate and compulsory subject. And that is what our demand is, that we need to have a separate and compulsory subject on psychiatry. It should not be part of medicine. It should be separate, like what happens in developed country and even adjoining country, Sri Lanka and Nepal. So that much importance of psychiatry should be given. So, so these are just to give you the glimpse about the rates of mental illness, because some people believe that mental illness are not that common. Estimate 10% and to 12% they do have a different psychiatric disorder. So it's a huge magnitude in that way, and that is why. And also, I would like to add, general practitioner, MBBS doctor who sees a patient in the primary care or in their general practice, as a general practitioner, he or she sees about 30% of the patients who have the diagnosable psychiatric illness. So just imagine the proportion, the magnitude is huge. So what it means is that in undergraduate training, the good proportion of IT training should be given. There's a huge treatment gap. We all know about it, and our own study said about 90%. So we all know these are different figures for different conditions, which is a range of about 70% to 86%, 90% or so. So treatment gap means that out of 100 psychiatric patients, only how many of them they come forward for the adequate treatment? How many of them had adequate treatment? So it seems that only 30 to 20 around they having a adequate and proper treatment. Rest they are not being properly treated. So that's a treatment gap. So that shows the importance of mental health is tremendous. Now, our own study, the burden of mental disorders, about close to 200 million people have mental disorder. 1 in 7, that's what it said. 1 in 7 is a big number, and about 5 crore people have depressive disorder. 46 million, 45 million have anxiety disorder, and this has been calculated based on all states. And contribution of mental disorder have doubled from 1990 to 2017, and this was the paper published in Lancet Psychiatry, and basically most of these disability adjusted livelihood forms the years-lived disability. So it's one of the most disabling condition in that way. Mental health again is important dimension of health as defined by WHO, and of course, being India is a very populous country, second largest in that way. So of course, we have high morbidity and mortality also because of suicide. So that is why we need to focus on this and training that is, and then the psychiatric training of undergraduate is crucial in providing mental health service to the public in that way. Now, a mental disorder disabling, as I said, and can affect all aspects of life. Sometimes people think it's not a real illness. They are only concerned about the physical illness only. So, of course, it does have an effect on the physical health, parenting, work as such, finances, caregiving, relationship with family and friends, common daily activities, and so on. Why we need to discuss? There's a high prevalence of mental health and substance use disorder and comorbid occurring together with the other general health condition, physical health condition. Costs are very high. In fact, a calculation has been made, it's close to $1 trillion as such because of mental disorders. And studies have suggested that many patients have been integrated behavioral health system. We see more integrated means those who are primary health system, they more effective treatment at a lower cost in that way. The need is, of course, the unmet need for mental health care in community. WHO also has an atlas which highlights a low number of mental health professionals. And what we have, the numbers of psychiatrists, psychologists are much less as compared to other countries. So again, that shows the importance of training in mental health in the undergraduate curriculum. And not only the numbers are less, but even if they are there, a skewed distribution is there because more are there in the urban areas, very few in the rural areas. So and mental illness do affect a person who is there in the rural area also. And the numbers are very less, and that is why there is a need for private sector and public sector collaboration for different health programs. We all know the stigma attached to mental illness is tremendous, and the kind of the way it is projected in the newspaper, films, reports, they often ridicule, and which again is a concern for us. And so stigma is a major barrier for health seeking, I think, and it's a major obstacle in that way because people have a negative attitude, have a strong negative attitude, in that way, and that's what the stigma, and which again give rise to discrimination in that way. NHRC in India has taken different reviews of mental hospital and have highlighted several inadequacies in these mental hospitals. We have more than 40 mental hospitals in our country, government funded. Poor utilization of psychiatrists, so not only the services are less, but also there is a poor utilization, and poor mental health infrastructure is there in our country and not adequately utilized in some places. Of course, things are changing, but again, much more needs to be done. Even those who are well services often come late for treatment. That is why we always say come early for treatment. Early treatment, early identification, early treatment has a good outcome in that way. People have to travel long distance to take a psychiatric facility, and someone has to accompany them. And there are lack of rehabilitation services. And of course, we do have a district mental health program. It has shown a positive results. Literacy also plays an important role, education in utilization of psychiatric services. Seeking primary care is very important. Primary care, we do have primary health center. So more than 70% of India's population, we all know, in rural areas, and they do seek care in the primary health center, and the medical doctor is there, who medical officer who takes care of other illnesses along with psychiatric condition, and they have the basic degree of MBBS. So we all know that providing these services at the primary care level has its own importance, because it reduces the stigma, they are cost effective, they are possible, and they are practical also. Of course, the other reason, inadequate number of professionals, poor understanding about psychological distress. People sometimes do not know that, what it is, because they are more clear about the physical part of the illness, but psychological component they are not. And there is a huge treatment gap, and there is a need for collaboration in that way. WPA, World Psychiatric Association, plays a major, they had a very important document in 98, and along with World Federation of Medical Education, the core curriculum committee was there, and core curriculum in psychiatry was made for medical students, and psychiatry should occupy a major part in medical curriculum, and that was the recommendation of World Psychiatric Association. The general approach of psychiatry stresses the unity of mind and body. I think they are not separate. The unity of that, because body affects the mind and mind affects the body. And that is a very important message we need to be given. Skills that are learned in psychiatry are important for all doctors. For example, the ability to form a good relationship with patient, to assess the mental state, and to convey distressing information. Now, this point is very, very important. What we are trying to say here is that skills which are learned during psychiatry posting are not only for psychiatry patients. Actually, the skills like doctor-patient relationship, the communication, understanding, empathy, and those some of the skills which are there, actually they can be used for non-psychiatric patients. Say, for example, a patient who has to undergo surgery, who has to undergo from surgical process, so how to communicate with them. Even patients who have the medical problems, gastrointestinal problem or cardiac problem. So all those skills you have learned here actually can be can be used and implemented in your other specialty also. And that is what the importance of mental health training in medical education is, or MBBS curriculum is. We are saying that it's not only for psychiatric patients. It is for all patients, because doctor-patient relationship and the core component of empathy is there, which actually, if one learns, then obviously there will be less chance of violence and dissatisfaction and so on. So I think this is what the point we are trying to highlight, and this is what we want to emphasize, the need for mental health, importance of mental health in the medical education. And so we all know psychiatric problems are common, which are seen by doctor. As I said, 30 to 35% what they see have a diagnosable psychiatric illness. So you can see about more than 1/3 psychiatric patients seen by MBBS doctor. That is why the training needs to be there. I can tell you the efforts were started in 2009, because since I am part of Central Mental Health Authority 2009, and we had a meeting, the strengthening of psychiatry in the undergraduate curriculum. And I can see that some efforts has been taken up, but much more needs to be done. And some awareness has come in that way. We had a meeting with all the HODs of medicine and so on, because psychiatry was part of medicine. But the thing is that all efforts are going, and we had approached previous MCI, and some changes have been made positively. We all know now the new guidelines have come of NMC, where the more emphasis on competence and the more hours are given for psychiatry now. But the point is that it all started almost about 12 years ago, and we hope that more can be done in the future. These are some of the skills as been defined as per the curriculum, as per this document, that what all a skill should be known to other doctors. And I'm happy to see that the new guideline talks about these competencies. These are different skills which are to be there for psychiatry and drug and alcohol addiction skills which are to be learned during MBBS. Now we have a new NMC Act, that is 2019, and we all know in place of MCI and Advisory Council is there. And so the competence and all has been revised, but again it has to be seen in that light, that more emphasis how we can give to psychiatry is important. At AIIMS, slightly different, because we have 9 weeks of posting. Earlier places it was only 2 weeks. In other places, compulsory logbook is there, 13 marks in theory, 12 in practicals. And but the important thing is that we do have 9-week posting, rural posting, compulsory logbook is there, evaluation by psychiatrists in the MBBS is there, internal assessment marks are there, and which are again different from the existing MCI. So we do pay attention to in the medical education, and more emphasis there in psychiatry as compared to other medical colleges in the country. What's the current status of medical education? So current status, we all know PHC service is delivered by paramedical staff and MBBS doctor, we all know. And these doctors are expected to provide a range of basic health services, including mental health services. So MBBS doctor, medical officer are expected to provide mental health services because they have the basic degree of MBBS. And so competence in medical knowledge, patient care, professionalism, communication, interpersonal skills, and all are part of it. And there is a dearth of evidence on competence of MBBS doctor to deliver basic mental health service at PHC. MBBS doctor ill prepared to interview, diagnose. Sometimes they feel fearful at times, because a lot of I will tell you, stigma is not only general public. Even among doctors, we have a lot of stigma related to psychiatric patients. The Bhor committee emphasized the need for training in social aspects of medicine, because we have near mental health resources. And it recommended setting up psychiatry department in every general hospital. So that was a very important, guidelines being made for the existing curriculum and training in psychiatry. And the training in psychiatry to undergraduate is very vital, we all know. And the knowledge of psychiatry, mental health, behavioral sciences equips the student deal with very difficult and complex situations during the medical practice. Now here, again, I am saying not only psychiatric practice, but even in other specialty also. This will turn up for a proper communication skill and empathize with the patient. Humanistic values will be there. More of professional relationship will be there. And psychiatric problems are common, so of course they can take care of that also. What about medical students? I will just tell you a few things, because medical students also face a lot of mental health issues. Again, that also becomes an important aspect. Many suicides have been reported. We all know about it. And different studies have shown 1/3, about 27% of medical students report depression or symptoms of depression. And around 1 in 10 report suicidal ideation. Such a big number, we all know that. And increased rate of suicide, depression, suicidal ideation is there in these medical students. And with the different stressors which they have because of study load and a problem with the self-care, and frequent exposure to deaths and dying in patients, including a suicide death. So mental health of a medical student is also an important aspect. And reported stressors, we all know, are which include fear of making mistakes, clinical rotation, and so on. The format and delivery of medical curricula has been identified as a specific source of stress. So frequent examination, and we all know, adds up to the stressors what they have. So medical students face a lot of stress, and that is why the importance of mental health also comes to them. So basically in this medical school curricula, we need to see that significant opportunity for intervention need to be there. And basically in some country like an Australian medical student, common barriers have that discourage the medical students seeking help are embarrassment. That is why most of the students, they do not seek help for these reasons. That is embarrassment, fear over lack of confidentiality. People will come to know that I am a bad doctor, what will happen, and they will not pass me in the exam. So that's a fear. They have privacy issues are there, impact of having record of mental health treatment in the registration. the right to practice, and it will affect the career progression and so on. So these are some of the recommendations which are there, like, student lecture presentation, time of joining, student education, psychoeducation, individual counseling for the students on demand, faculty education. Faculty also need to be trained, in that way. Web-based cognitive behavior therapy, group therapy on coping with the stress. A lot of students, that is why in some medical colleges, we do have a facilitation center and so on, which basically helps these students. Counseling and referral by student volunteers, research and monitoring is important. What's the current evidence, and in that way, does this help? Yes, both mental health related theoretical education and clinical placement are effective in changing the attitude of healthcare of the students towards the mental illness. Theoretical education in form of videos, lecture, presentation, which are delivered with the mental illness coursework, are effective stigma reduction intervention. Clinical placement is more effective when combined with the theoretical education. So what it means that practical education, theoretical education, again, when we combine together, that will help in the understanding of the mental health issues. Now, empathy and compassion, as I said, again, these are important aspects, not for psychiatric patients, but for all discipline. And the key behavior to be effective, that is how to sit or stand during interview, detecting patient non-verbal cues of emotion, recognizing and responding to opportunities for compassion, non-verbal communication of caring, that is eye contact and so on, verbal statement acknowledging, validation and support. And basically, these are important skills of communication, empathy and compassion, which becomes an important part. This is a peer-led mental health training is also an important concept, and peer-led mental health training in undergraduate medical education led to significant improvement in self-reporting understanding, confidence when supporting a peer, confidence if faced with a more acute situation. So basically, the peer-led mental health training also is important with regard to medical education. COVID-19 posed a tremendous challenge, we all know, and for a number of reasons, many training was affected, medical education was affected, exam could not be held, classes could not be held. Mainly they were online classes, but the online classes will not teach you the patient care. The practicals are always important. The bedside skills, which are important, they were deficient. So it has affected in last 1.5 years. Okay, so take-home message is mental health is an important aspect of medical education. We all know about it, and low and middle-income country like India, utilizing available resources to the best is important, and inclusion of mental health in medical education is one way to improve psychiatric services as a whole. Especially we want to say this on this particular day, that's the World Mental Health Day, that if we want to improve the psychiatric services, that way we have to improve the medical education. In fact, I will tell you, when I was in CMHA, I impressed upon that why we need to, as I said, that to strengthen the psychiatry in MBBS. What I was trying to say is that otherwise we do have the training program for MBBS doctor, medical officer, general practitioners, and so on. Whereas we don't have such training program for one who has done the surgery or medicine and so on. Why we are having this? Because the training in the MBBS part is deficient. That is why we need to support it. But at the same time, when we conduct this training by the government or state government, we are spending so much in that. So we can get away with that if we can strengthen our MBBS in first place itself. So you can see, actually, it's an advantage situation, win-win situation in that way. If we can strengthen the psychiatry in the medical education itself, so there is no need for having these training and spending money and so on. So that way, it is improving the whole psychiatric services, and inclusion of mental health will equip the students with the confidence and ability to better care for themselves, not only the patient care, but also self-care. As I said, 1/3 they do have the problem of the self also. And colleagues, not only self, but also colleagues and the patient also. So with this, I will end here. And my acknowledgement, Dr. Mahadev Singh Sen of our department, who helped in preparation slide and review. My thanks to him. And thank you very much. Thank you. I will end here. I think I have taken now 35 minutes. So I think I will stop.
So it was perfectly fine, and it was very enlightening. I would just put up one question that came. The question is very simple, that it's agreed that there has to be some sort of education for medical students, but it's just the one side of a coin. What about the other side, where the faculty members also need to be in tune with the training itself? Because you see, it's all about compassion, empathy altogether, and whatever the the positivity the students need, especially in that time where it's to a devastating level of suicide. In fact, I should also say that medical students starting from 11th grade and 12th grade in schools who are venturing into the field of science itself, it adds on to the pressure. Even the boards and whatever, unfortunately, there have been many mishaps like this. So should this be involved in the schools also, and should the teachers from say universities to all fields be educated in this?
Yes, I completely agree with you. In fact, we had worked on this, and we have tried to have. We have discussed this in the past, that mental health component should be part of school curriculum also, and we have prepared a good document on this. It was a few years ago, but somehow that cannot be included in NCERT books and so on. But we wanted to make it integrated with the existing, curricula. But that's a very important point, and we want to see that the mental health, understanding should come at the basic school level.
Basics.
And as far as a teacher, I think I agree with you that teachers should also have some training. They do have workshops, they do have interactions. I know that for teachers, some kind of discussion is there. But let me tell you, if our students are strengthened, then the students ultimately will become teacher. So that way, So if at one level, if we are trying to strengthen it, so the effect will go on to the teachers also, and they can have their own booster type of sessions subsequently.
Very well said, sir. With that being said, I would definitely like to give you my heartiest thanks and a big thank you for taking out time and presenting this fabulous PPT, which we would have missed. But thanks to you, we have it. We've been blessed with it. A big thank you to Professor Rajesh Sagarji. Thank you, sir. With that being said, I end this session, and I would now like to invite a very, I would say, he's the powerhouse of MHFI. He is the General Secretary for Mental Health Foundation India, and he's the Chairman of UNK Foundation and Global Research Institution. He presently he's the director for RV Northland Group. Dr. Kumar is an expert of career and relationship counseling. He's a recipient of Master of Counseling Award, Gem of India Award, Rajiv Gandhi Excellence Award, and has been awarded the International Trainer of the Year for 2016. And now I'm going to hand it over to him to present the vote of thanks. And as you can see, he's very much going to be again giving us feedback and summarizing a little bit as to what has happened in the past 3 days. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Narad. Very good evening to one and all. On behalf of Mental Health Foundation India, Department of Psychiatry, AIIMS, New Delhi, Rahat Charitable and Medical Education Trust, and the organizing committee, it's my privilege and honor to be here to propose vote of thanks as General Secretary of Mental Health Foundation India. On the success of the 8th Mental Health Program on the occasion of World Mental Health Day, is the title Unlocking the Power of Being, Healing Self and Others, held virtually. You know that this pandemic is going on. So now our aim through this event was to raise the curtain on what we can do to be our young doctors, medical students, and the healthcare professionals in their journey to healing the selves and others. First of all, I'd like to express my sincere thanks to Professor Randeep Guleria, Honorable Director, AIIMS, New Delhi, and Professor R.K. Chadda Saab, Head of the Department, Secretary, AIIMS, New Delhi, for their valuable contribution as guiding light. I would like to thank and convey my deep gratitude to our esteemed guest who graced us with their kind words, namely Dr. Afzal Javed, President, World Psychiatric Association, Professor B.N. Gangadhar, President, Ethics and the Medical Education Board, National Medical Commission, and the former Director, NIMHANS, Bangalore. Dr. J. A. Jayalal, President, Indian Medical Association, and Dr. Gautam Saha, President, Indian Psychiatric Society. Now I would like to take the honor of appreciating our distinguished speaker who shared their valuable experiences at the session. I would like also to acknowledge the contribution by Dr. Avdesh Sharma, Honorable Chairman of Rahat, and Dr. Sujata D. Sharma, Trustee of Rahat, in making this event successful. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. I'd like to congratulate the man behind the success of Mental Health Foundation India and our event, that is Professor Nand Kumar, who is the Honorary President of Mental Health Foundation India and Professor of Psychiatry, AIIMS, New Delhi. Yes, I would also like to acknowledge the contribution, as I told you. No event can be successfully without the effort and the hard work of many people uniting as a team. The first name that deserves a special mention, Miss Aditi Rana, the program coordinator of this event, who has been the pillar of the strength of this program. Thank you, Aditi. Thank you a lot to you. Another name that deserves to be mentioned here is Miss Aparajita Sharma of Rahat, who delightfully handled this scientific program. Thanks, Aparajita. Salute to both of you. My talk would be incomplete without mentioning the main voice of this show. Yes, gentlemen, Mr. Anirudh Sharma, a renowned anchor who brought life to the program. Well done, Anirudhji. Hats off to you also. Now, the program took its course without any technical glitch because of the effort of our technology partner, HUMS. Many thanks to Mrs. Swati Kasturia and Ms. Rashid Kathuria. I believe that during these 3 days, we have all had inside interactive discussion and the great chance to share the outcomes of unlocking the power of being, healing self and others. This program would not have been possible without the support of our sponsor. Our sponsors who have been the platinum sponsors, Makrangi, Gas Authentic India Limited, and the Indraprasth Gas Limited. And our gold sponsors, Sam Stills Calcutta, Shan Pharma, and Intas Pharma. And our silver sponsors, Cipla, Lupin, and Corinne Pharma. I extend my sincere gratitude to all of them. Now, a special shout out to all the interns and volunteers who diligently worked towards making this event more successful. Yes, I will name Mr. Abhinav Singh, Ms. Rasi Arora, Mr. Devesh Zazu, Miss Mahima Khera, Ms. Karna Malhotra, Ms. Kashish Jain, Ms. Urvi Gauri, Ms. Palak Khanna, Ms. Riddhi, Mr. Rajiv Verma, Mr. Anil Mandal, Mr. Ranjan Joshi, and the entire team of Mental Health Foundation India and Rahat Charitable and Medical Education Trust. Finally, my huge heartfelt thanks to you, all our 1,500 participants from across the country who took out the time from their busy schedule to make this event more special. I do hope that the unlocking this power of being, healing and self, others has been able to strike a chord with one and all to greatly foster and empower the society through science and spirituality from this sustainable innovation. Although we have long way to go, but this is not a pinnacle or journey. This is just a turning of page. Signing off for today and looking forward to see you in 2021. May God protect and bless us abundantly. Thank you all and good night, and handing over to Mr. Anirudh. Thank you, Mr. Anirudh, and thank you all.
A big thank you to Dr. Sanjay Kumar. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let me again stress, World Mental Health Day आज की तारीख है 10/10, मतलब 10 के 10 उंगलियां जो हमारे इंक्लूडिंग thumbs, they need to be together to create a bond, and this bond should not break. We've just had 1500 participants. Now by God's grace, I hope it multiplies at least tenfold, क्योंकि 10 तारीख को है और अगले साल 1500 से 15,000 हो, then again tenfolds 15 lakh, so and so. मैं 1.5 लाख, sorry मैं जंप मार गया, but I'm too emotional emotional right now. Sometimes emotional hona bhi bahut zaruri hai, because that's how you're going to share things. So you need to take care of yourself, your mental health. You need to take care of your family, their mental health, and also urge yourself and others to get into self-healing, introspection, but also sharing if you have a problem. That is what has been the aim of MHFI AIMS, and of course राहत, जो हर जगह पे आपको राह दिखा रहा है, और राह एक जगह पे दिखा रहा है, which is www.mindspecialist.com. All you need to do is, if you want to check whether you have something or the other which you can't pinpoint, we have excellent surveys for you. Go over there. It's self-assessment, and there will be definitely some light shed on what you should do next. We have www.mhfindia.org. Please join us on that. www.rahat.org. And of course, I talked about mind specialists. We talked about burnout. We talked about what mental health is. How much does it mean? How should we actually take introspection and self-realization and heal ourselves? We talked about distress management, guilt experience, and how should we cope up with it, and of course the mental health of all medical students. जाते जाते एक डायलॉग है, वैसे लोग बोलते हैं that with great powers come great responsibility. Responsible आप सारे हैं, definitely you are in the medical field. But you see, the great power that we talk about is not just saving us as the common people, which you are doing selflessly, and we thank you unconditionally for that. One of the greatest responsibilities is to take care of yourself. So अपना ख्याल रखिए, अपने दिमाग का, अपने दिमागी संतुलन का, एकाग्रता का ख्याल रखिए. आप अपना ख्याल रखेंगे तो आप मेरा और मेरे परिवार का, हम सबका ख्याल रखेंगे. This is the World Mental Health Day, 3-day summit of unlocking the power of being with each other, healing each other, and healing for each other. With that being said, I wish you good fortune, and hopefully in 2022, we have only positivity with nothing bad happening. Stay healthy, stay safe, join us on social media. And what is going to happen? सोशल मीडिया पे कैसे ज्वाइन करोगे? एक मैंने जिंदगी में सारी चीजें भरी है, मैंने फॉर्म नहीं भरे, तो मैंने सिर्फ फॉर्म भरने हैं. फॉर्म आपको ईमेल कर दिए गए हैं. वी नीड योर फीडबैक, वी नीड योर लव, एंड वंस यू गॉट द फीडबैक, you need to send the feedback to us, because we need to know what are the changes that can be done. Now the certificates, of course, each participant that has been participating with us, your certificates will be emailed to you, because you truly deserve it. You are our banner holder. A big thank you to all our sponsors. A big thank you to all the social media. A big thank you to all our technical partners, the organizers, the entire team, and of course, you all lovely people. Now take a deep breath. Release positivity and stay healthy. God bless you all. This is Anirudh Sharma signing off.